Good morning. It is the weekend. It is beautiful and cold. Woke up this morning, shoveled, froze my fingers. Now I'm drinking a hot cup of coffee. Life is good. Amen. um, so there's been on the news lately the fraud. We're not talking about it as much because now we're talking about ICE agents and whatnot, but fraud is still in the forefront of a lot of things that's been going on. Fraud is exceeding probably over $9 billion for the past 7, 8 years. I think it's been going on for much longer. I am scared to know, and I will never know the numbers, but I don't know if I ever truly want to know the true numbers of how much fraud or how much advantage people have taken of the tax paying people. That's what it is. Fraud is taking advantage of the hardworking Americans in Minnesota. Last year, I was averaging about 65 hours per week, I believe. I was even hitting 93 hours one week, right? Where I just go home, sleep for 6, 7 hours, and then get right back up and then go back to work. And then all of a sudden, at the end of the pay period, $1,000 of my paycheck, 1/3 went right into taxes, pulled out, and then the government takes that money and then abuses it, doesn't manage it properly, right? It's not being a good steward of the taxes, right? And that's what made me really, really mad, right? And so I thought, is there a way, when I run for governor, is there a way for us to keep our hard-earned money? I can't just cut checks to every citizen of Minnesota, right? And so I thought, what are some ways that we can, do to kind of give back to the people of Minnesota, not to the minorities, not to the, poor. I'm not gonna use those terminologies. I want to have the people of Minnesota benefit as a whole. I don't want to target certain individuals, certain groups, right? That's not my style. Will never be my style. I never want to pass laws or programs that benefit only certain people. I want to benefit Minnesota as a whole, right? So one of the things I would like to do, and this I think is going to be huge, like what Trump says, huge. I'm so in trouble. Is cut or freeze the increase of property tax. So not eliminate property tax, just freeze the increase. So if your property tax is $200 per month, the next year is going to be $200 per month, and the following year will be $200 per month. We need to stop the increase of property tax, right? But if your property taxes go down to, let's say, 180 the next year, that's okay, because the value of the house went down, so therefore it's at 180. And then if the following year your property goes up in value again, sorry, your property tax will stay at 180. Will not go back up to 200 because your property value went up. So property tax can go down, but never up. Okay. That's to give relief to homeowners, mortgages, right? People, now, if you buy a plot of land and the property tax is like $50 a month, and then you build a house, right? And the value of that property has gone up because there's a house, yes, you will pay more in property tax, right? I don't want people just to buy a bunch of land, then build a bunch of houses and not pay taxes, much taxes in that for a while, right? So when there's such a dramatic change like that, it will get adjusted, but then after that, the property tax will not go up, right? So if you build a house, yes, expect property taxes to go up, your mortgage to go up, but it'll never go up ever again after that, right? Businesses, I think businesses need a break. We've been coming after businesses for a long, long time. We are demanding so much from our businesses to pay for so many things. They need a break. They need to breathe and relax for once, right? And I want to provide that relief to businesses, to business owners, right? So if they own businesses and they own properties, I don't want their taxes to go up, right? And if you own rental properties, your property taxes will not increase as well. Because if I don't increase the rental property tax, then the rent should not go up. I think oftentimes the rent goes up because the property goes up, and people are always complaining and going after the businesses, the landlord, right? Why did my more rent went up? It went up $200. It went up this much. Why does it keep going up? And oftentimes, I strongly believe is because of tax property. It is simple as that. That's the main reason why, unless there's a major repair that's been done to the building or to the house where they replace all the wires, which can cost $25,000, and they want to somewhat recoup some of that back, so they may increase it by $200, $300, who knows what. But I want to, I'm hoping that by not increasing property taxes for rental properties, that your rent will stay the same, right? That would be amazing. It's a win-win-win situation all around, right? I'm not just targeting certain groups. I'm targeting the whole state of Minnesota as a whole, where everybody benefits, from the renters to the homeowners to the businesses. Everybody benefits. Everybody wins, right? Now, the pause will only last for 4 years. For now, right? For 4 years, right? The reason is to give back to the people. The government already misused the taxes, right? We're not being good stewards of the taxes. By freezing property tax, we're allowed to give back to the citizens to stop government from taking more to recoup the loss over fraud. That's huge. We need to put the government on a budget, right? Because oftentimes, government is always planning to spend more and more and more every year because they plan on raising the taxes every freaking year. And I'm tired. It's time to put the government on a tight budget. We as citizens have been on a tight budget for far too long, so it's time to put the government on a tight budget. Stop going after the rich people. It's not their fault things have gone up in price and all across the board. It's the government that's causing this situation. Now, President Trump, you are killing me. Last year, or a few years ago, I came up with a plan, right? I thought, man, if I ever run for governor, there's one thing that I definitely want to do, and that is to not do taxes, income tax after 40 hours. I'm like, man, if I'm going to sacrifice my body, because as we go older, like if we put our body through a bunch of abuse by working 60, 70 hours a week, 80 hours a week, some people even hit 90 like I have, we age faster. Our body breaks down a lot faster, right? We can't sustain a very good life if we maintain that, that work ethic of working 70, 80, 90 hours. That's just crazy. I've done it, and it's crazy. And so I thought, man, the thing is, all I want to do as a citizen is to create generational wealth. It's not for me to be rich. It's for my family, for my future generation family to become successful, to be comfortable. I'm going to break my back, sacrifice myself so that my future family will live a better life than what I have lived. That should be everybody's goal. There are too many selfish people in Minnesota that make it all about themselves and not about their kids, not about their kids, and so forth. They think about themselves and now. They're not thinking generational wealth, right? You build and you save money not for yourself, but for your future generations. I strongly, strongly believe that. And when the people that aren't as successful because they make it about themselves and they buy a bunch of shit that they don't need, to make themselves feel good and happy and whatnot, and they, spend money versus saving it, for their future families and generational wealth, then they complain they don't have money, right? And then they go after the rich people and say, you need to pay your fair share. BS. F you. Like I said, I was homeless 3-4 times in my life. I lived in back of my truck for a month. I've stayed at a homeless shelter, right? I went to the food shelf. Like, I've had my struggles, but never did I ever demanded the rich should pay more in taxes, should pay the fair share, should go after their net worth that they so hard worked for. If I ever reach my $1 million net worth status, people of Minnesota can go F themselves. I'm not going to be paying half my wealth with you guys. Okay? That is not fair. I worked 80, 90 hours a week. For you to later demand me to pay half my wealth to you guys? No. I don't believe that. Now, what I would like to do, as a future governor, is give you the opportunity to save more money, right? To pass no taxes, no increase on taxes on property taxes, right? On rental properties. That way, rent does not keep going up, so therefore you're keeping more money. See? I like that. Like I said, let me go back a little bit. So Trump passed no taxes on federal level or after 40 hours, up to $12,500. Come on, President Trump. My idea was no taxes after 40 hours, period. No cap limit, right? The moment you hit 41 hours is tax free. Right? Now, yes, there may be Social Security, there may be all these other things. That's fine. But when it comes to taxes itself, there should be no taxes after 40 hours, period. And if I become the governor, I want to remove state taxes, right? I want to remove no overtime taxes on the state level after 40. No cap. So if you're working 80 hours a week and so that means you worked 40 hours of overtime, all those hours, all those 40 hours will be not taxed on the state level. That means you get to keep that in your pocket. Now that's me helping you to build generational wealth. Okay, you're not demanding it from the rich people or from other people that worked so hard to get that. I'm gonna open up doors for you to create your own generational wealth, to be successful in your life, right? I'm gonna open those doors up for you. You have to step through those doors, right? I'll create those opportunities. You have to seize those opportunities, right? Yeah, just imagine, families, fathers, mothers, they work overtime, they work hard, and now they can actually truly save, right? For kids' college, right? To pay off the mortgage faster, to put more food on the table, to fix that broken window that's been broken for years, sell that junk car and get a slightly newer car, right? They'll be able to do that finally, right? To put themselves in a better position, right? They'll be able to invest, that overtime into Fortune 500, into stocks, that can grow as they grow, which would be amazing, right? So yeah, I would actually work with the Trump administration to eliminate taxes with no cap, state and federal, after 40 hours. Because if I'm willing to work 40 hours of overtime, I sacrifice my personal time, then I should be able to keep that. I truly, truly believe that the harder that you work, the more money you should be able to keep in your own pocket, right? Because clearly, Governor Walz didn't manage your taxes very well, right? There are times where I fall hard, and I don't want to go to the government, right? I feel like too many people. So, what's the most deadliest drug on the market right now? Fentanyl, right? Also known as a zombie drug, right? The most dangerous drug that people get hooked on is the government. There are too many people out there that are reliant on the government assistance, right? You're relying on food stamps. You're relying on housing assistance. You're relying on all these programs that keep you treading, right? The government wants you to tread continuously in the water. Me, I want to give you the tools for you to swim to the island so that way you can build a house, you can get food, and you can live comfortably for the rest of your life. That's the difference between the Republican and Democrats. The Democrats want you to be reliant on them, and they'll make you feel like you're being successful, but no, you're actually just treading water. They'll give you free money, they'll give you free programs, they'll give you free stuff, but just enough for you to stay alive. Republicans, like myself, we will give you the tools for you to swim to the island. That way you can build your house, you could, grow your own food and be successful and live comfortably for the rest of your life. That's the difference between the Republicans and Democrats. That government is like a drug. We don't want you to rely on the government to survive. We want you to rely on your own strength, your own will to succeed. Another thing that I strongly, strongly believe and would want to look into. Tax bracket should be based on the first 40 hours per week. That if you work overtime, oftentimes that if you work overtime, that can send you to the next tax bracket. You know, that's what I believe. So in other words, if I work 40 hours a week, and that's it, I'll make about 80K. If I work overtime and put the 12, 13 hours, a day, 5 times a week or so, that would put me, or even 6, 7 days a week at times, that would put me at the 115K per year. Now I'm put on a different tax bracket. Now the government takes even more money from me because they say, well, you made more money, therefore we're going to come and tax you more, right? So I strongly believe that a tax bracket should only be based on the first 40 hours. Now, if you work 2 jobs and you're working 60 hours a week total, I'm sorry, it's based on the first 40 hours of any job that you do. Whether you work 1 job or multiple jobs, it's the first 40 hours. Now, if you work in the same job and you work 60 hours, right, then the tax bracket should only be based on the first 40 hours of that one job that you work at. Period. That's another sneaky little tactic the government has to get more money out of your pocket. Is that it's not based on the first 40 hours, it's based on all the hours you work. The total income that you brought is based on that, not so much the 40 hours. And I hate that. You have to be angry at that, Minnesota. Just imagine for a moment, you're working 60 hours a week, and you only and you pay taxes only and your tax bracket is only based on the first 40 hours. I had a renter, right, who rented a room for me, and he says, if I work more hours, I will be bumped up to the next tax bracket and I take more money from me, meaning I make less. Why should I work more hours? I'm like, because you have to. If you want to get ahead, you have to play the games. Then realize, wait a minute, why are we playing these games? This guy is legit. He has a valid reason. People will only work so many hours because if they work any more, they get brought to a different tax bracket, meaning they get taxed even more. And that is horrible. We should not be punishing people for wanting to work more and save more for their families and to help build generational wealth. That makes me disgusting. So, another law that I like to pass as a governor is that tax brackets should be based on the first 40 hours. Right? So, if you make 80K, with 40 hours, but with all the overtime, you make 115K, like I did, your tax bracket should be based on the 80K. And I will talk to the Trump administration to see if we can make that a federal thing too, because that would be amazing. That would affect every person across the whole state of Minnesota. I'm not targeting certain groups, minorities, or the poor, or the middle class, or the upper class. I want everybody to benefit across the entire board. That would be amazing. Just imagine, just think about it. Go, and then when you get your next paycheck, pay stub, look at those numbers closely. Do some numbers and see how much you could save if you didn't have to pay, overtime taxes. How much you'd be saving, or if you're not brought up to the next tax bracket because you work so many overtime hours, right? I think people can breathe for once, for sure. Another thing, this is another big one. No tax on startup, unregistered, or side hustle businesses. Think of the lemonade stand, right? A little kid, making a little lemonade, charges you $1 for a cup, Man, I remember it used to be 25 cents. Talk about inflation. Bastards. Those little brats. They're scamming me. Every dollar that they make should go into their pocket, right? There are a lot of people, a lot of kids that want to get into the workforce, right? Or they want to save up money to buy a Game Boy. Okay, fine, Xbox. Yeah, I'm old school. My Game Boy was stolen from me, okay? When I was a kid, I had it for like a week and someone stole it. That was the end of my video games. A kid should be able to mow the grass, right? Neighbor's grass or the neighborhood, and not have to report the taxes, right? No Karens asking if that kid has a business license. F you, Karen. A lot of people, I think, want to test certain business ideas, right? And oftentimes they have to spend, get the paperwork ready to, register the business, and it fails, and they went through all this stuff, right? They had to open up a business account. They had to do all, register and keep track of expenses, and not knowing if this business would succeed or not, right? I think businesses should have an opportunity to test their ideas, right? So if you make $10,000 in profit or under, you should be able to keep that and use that to reinvest in your business, and actually then consider starting a business. Register with the city and be like, yes, this business seems to work. I'm going to register. I'm going to hire someone else possibly, which creates more employment, and and then grow the business, right? Now, if you make, let's say, $20,000 in that first year, but you use $10,000 for tools, right? Equipment. That's okay, because like I said, $10,000 profit, right? After expenses, Let's say you believe in one of my friends, or I thought about garbage can washing, business, right? You go around the neighborhood and wash people's garbage cans, right? Get a truck, get a tank, get certain, Dawn soap, whatever, cleaning supplies to clean the trash cans. It may cost $15,000 for that, truck with a big water tank, right? With a pressure washer system, the generator, all these things, right? And you happen to be very successful, and you made, $15,000, just as much as what it cost for the equipment. You broke even. So in other words, you're at zero profit because you just broke even. So if you make another $10,000, you're good to go. You don't have to report that. But if you make $10,000 and one, then we would like you to start reporting your, at least finish the year, and then next year report, register your business, right? Because there is something there now, and you're slowly expanding, right? So and that would, like I said, that would give opportunity for startup businesses to use that $10,000 profit they made to reinvest back into their business instead of government knocking on your door saying, "Hey, give me half your shit." And the thing is, the reason why I want that is I want Minnesota to be known as the hub of new businesses, new ideas, right? I think that would be amazing if we're known as the new business venture, right? Ideas come in flowing, right? That would be phenomenal. The state, so I've asked myself, why are businesses like Tesla, like Ford, like Amazon, and a lot of big white whales, right? Unicorn businesses, right? Why are they continuously going to Texas? Why are they continuously going to Florida? Why are they going to Nevada or other states to have their main hub at, their main headquarters? And so I did a little research. Our state corporate tax rate now in 2026 is 8.8%. Previous year was 9.9%. It's like we're telling businesses, big whales, the unicorns, we don't want to discover you. We don't want you to be here. I wanted to drop it to 3.9 effective immediately, with a drop by 0.05 every year for the next 4 years to bring it down to 1.9 and hold it steady to be competitive and attract large businesses. I thought about 3.9 being holding steady, but that's a lot of states around us are about 3.9. Some are at 1.9 as well, but at least we're in the same competing level to get the big whales, unicorns in Minnesota. Meaning it creates more jobs, more opportunities, right? More taxes that we can get, to do more infrastructure, more schools. We have 2 schools in Robbinsdale that are closing down because they don't have the money. Though I'm thinking that money is going right into solar panels and on city buildings, and we're taking loans for that. So that's what I would like to look into. Like, we really need to reevaluate how Minnesota spends its tax money, how it can give back to the people, to the citizens of Minnesota. Clearly, Minnesota can't be good stewards of your taxes, right? So why do we trust them? Why do we keep giving them more money? Every year it goes up. Every year it goes up, up. When do we citizens that hardly ever, if not ever, use the programs benefit from that? Never. So I say enough is enough. It's time for everyday Minnesota, like myself, like you, everybody across the entire board to benefit equally. So by lowering all these taxes, by freezing property taxes, by doing all these things, no overtime taxes, we may lose money at first. That's almost a guarantee you. But hope to draw large businesses over time. Hopefully we take care of startup businesses. Because if we take care of them, they would want to stay, and their businesses grow, and their headquarters become in Minnesota while they continue expanding outward, but they continue staying here in Minnesota, right? So therefore, more and more taxes are coming to Minnesota because businesses are staying in Minnesota, not leaving, right? Jobs, which allows us to get more taxes. Because I think jobs are going down in Minnesota. I think less and less people are living in Minnesota. I think we're dwindling down in people, right? People leaving the state. There's less births. We're going down in population. There's other things that I can go on to when it comes to taxes or when it comes to utility bills and, processing fees and a bunch of other stuff, but I think that could be for another time. It's already been 36 minutes. I know. My videos are way too long. I have a lot to say. There's a lot of things that I want to do that helps benefit the state of Minnesota. I truly believe that Minnesota needs to vote for Republican this time around. What do we have to lose at this point, right? We've been voting for Democrats for years, and the money has been wasted, poorly managed, not being good stewards of your hard-earned money, and I am frustrated. You should be frustrated. I think we could bring great changes in the state of Minnesota. I truly, truly believe that, and I want to do that. I want to have an open door policy where people can come in and say, this is BS, and you tell me why. Tell me a plan that you think would work, right? I'm going to take that plan, I'm going to look into it, investigate it, and if I believe you have a fair point, that I want to, pursue it, right? But has to benefit the state of Minnesota as a whole, right? I am willing to sit down and listen to anybody, both Republicans, both Democrats, anybody. If you have an idea or if you are sick of something, for example, right, the processing fees in city halls, they're charging you $20, if not more. I think that should change. Okay, what do you want it changed? Well, I think we should get rid of it. If not, at least make it make sense. All right, what's your plan? Well, my plan is max of $3 or 1%, whichever is lowest. Oh, I kind of like that. That actually makes sense. All right, let's do it. And end of the conversation, and I go after it. I'm horrible when it comes to creating videos. I'm sorry. I'm not very tech savvy. But it's been 40 minutes. I will end it. Ross Nova, shooting forward, brighter for a better tomorrow with less taxes. Thank you.